I'm Danielle Antonson, and I'm here with Iris Fischer. And today we are talking about recipes for failure in therapy.
Also, in regards to why some people believe that therapy doesn't work for them. And no matter which kind of therapy, be it hypnotherapy or any other modality, because there's a specific mindset that people believe if you have a few therapy sessions, you're going to be sorted out. And this can be very well the case. This can apply to many, but on the other side, it's like not working every time, or it's not about the modality, but it's about what you carry inside.
I agree with that. And I think that having expectations in it can sometimes get in the way of our healing. So if you may have the expectation that, okay, I'm going to go to therapy and I'm going to be better, it's not really a realistic expectation. I guess like the speed of it isn't a realistic expectation. I know for myself, when I was going to just the regular traditional talk therapy, I had the expectation that, oh my gosh, this is going to fix all my problems. I'm going to have the tools necessary and my life's going to be so much better. And that wasn't the case at all. It was just kind of an outlet for me to talk. And that didn't work for me because I talked and talked and talked and it didn't offer the healing and the solutions that I expected for myself. But when I found different modalities like hypnotherapy seemed to speed up that process for me and it changed my thoughts, which was what needed to happen. So it became a more powerful way for me to speed up my therapy or my healing and kind of become the person that I've wanted to be, but it is by no means a fast fix or like a miracle cure or anything like that. You can cure a lot of stuff, like, but it's not a quick fix. There's still a lot of stuff that I do out of hypnosis that empowers me for the rest of the day. Like if we had a session where I wanted to be more confident. Great, I have the session. I feel confident in the moment, but then there's stuff for me to do afterwards. Like I'll listen to a recording that really installs that confidence. And then affirmations, I'll write down affirmations and practice saying them. So there's still a lot of things to do outside of sessions. Another thing is like reading books on how to become more confident or whatever you're looking to improve and then applying what you're learning in the real world. So it's not just like a quick fix. You have to actually put yourself into it to get that lasting change.
Absolutely agree. And I was similar. I mean, I had my very first session and it was breath therapy. And I asked my therapist then, okay, how many sessions do I need? And she didn't answer. And I really had this idea, okay, I'm going to have 5 sessions and everything is good. But I had like complex childhood trauma. So, I mean, yeah, in other modalities, they would say you can't fix that. You have to regulate that, and that's the best you can get. So therefore, I mean, it helped me big time. All the kinds of body works in regards to building resilience and to be able to deal with the emotions that were underlying. But it was a process. It started a process. And I think it's also very important if you start that process, before you started, you sort of have a stable system. And everything is sort of okay. It's quite miserable, maybe, but it's okay. But then if you start having sessions, and especially if you go into deep work, like with hypnotherapy, where you're meeting these kind of emotions, then it can feel like it destabilizes your system. And then you feel like, oh my gosh, this kind of work is just too annoying, or it goes into a direction I don't enjoy and I don't feel it's beneficial for me. But actually it's just when you open this stable system and you meet those emotions that are lying underneath, they get the chance to heal and they get the chance to be processed. But this means there are probably others that also want to come up.
That's true. sometimes when we do go into the subconscious mind and we are healing, parts that have been unheard for a very long time, others can feel like, okay, it's our opportunity to be heard and to be felt, and so they come out too. And maybe you weren't ready for that at the time, and it can become a little overwhelming. But it's not that you don't have the tools to handle that. It just may be a little uncomfortable while you work through that. But I do believe that you're never given more than you can handle. So if you are experiencing, a trigger, and you're not sure how to deal with it, there's so many different ways to help yourself, to deal with these parts. Journaling is a huge one. So if you don't have access to your therapist, journal about it, feel that part, and let it be heard, and just sit with it until it feels okay.
Absolutely, big time. I mean, the tools you can apply outside the therapeutic setting, there's so many, like the journaling, like affirmations, like reading books and learning more about your inner self, self-reflecting, whatever. And even using these kind of tools that you were mentioning. What I also feel is, and sometimes it's about the modalities. Different modalities work in different moments, and they are addressing different aspects of ourselves. So, for example, the body therapies, they're working with the nervous system, for example. And the other modalities like hypnotherapy, they're working with your emotions and your mind. So there are different options, and some might fit in that moment, others might not.
I think the biggest thing to to keep in mind with any type of therapy is that it's not offering a quick fix, but what it is bringing to you is an awareness of things. It's bringing an awareness of yourself, and with that comes a responsibility to yourself. It makes you able to respond to yourself. And when you're doing that, when you're taking responsibility for your own feelings and emotions and for your recovery, that's huge. And really believe, it's not nothing that is a quick fix is worth it. And when you put effort into finding the right modalities for you, it really pays off. So maybe just changing your expectations for therapy into just kind of expecting to learn about yourself and to become more responsible for you.
Yeah, I also feel that's a key element. I mean, the aspect of taking responsibility for your own life and for every own emotion or every issue you carry. Because the solution is always inside. You cannot find it on the outside. That would be the quick fix, probably, if you try to just cover it up. And I do feel, especially if you are dealing with trauma, deep trauma, complex trauma, or depression, if you are struggling with such kind of aspects, it means that it's very important for you to build a resilience first, because very often the own system is overwhelmed and struggling with this overwhelm. And you need to have a certain inner stability to then move forwards.
And I found, for me, I've tried like sound therapy and the regular talk therapy. I've tried a few different modalities. I found the hypnosis, like going in words and creating that stable place, really, really did it for me. And I love the freedom that I have because I've been able to go within and discover myself and to learn about what I need and to be able to respond to my own parts.
I love that. I mean, that's a great example of how to deal with this. And one main reason why actually, or why we wanted to do that recording, talk about that issue, I feel, I mean, I'm not sure whether I can speak for you, but to me, it's when I read about suicide and when I read about people who went to therapy and nevertheless committing suicide, That's very painful to hear and to know about, because inside I've been there myself and I know you cannot overcome that. But I was also struggling big time in those moments. I needed something that I was focusing on, where I was willing to live for. For example, to me, it were my kids, it were my children. I told myself, okay, I can't commit suicide. That's not something I should do because of the detrimental damage I would cause. And I'm not only living for myself. So I had this big focus. And I do feel this was something that carried me through these very deep, dark emotions. And I feel it's really necessary to build yourself and focus where you are willing to have as a torch, like that shining the light through the tunnel.
And what ways would you suggest building that resilience?
Honestly, I do feel it's very much an physical aspect as well.
Mhm.
So having these body therapies, they do work on releasing the charge that's causing stress. It's also, these trauma therapies very often work with awareness of the present moment and making you feel safe in your body again, because in trauma you usually are dissociating and moving out of the body. But that's actually something you need to reclaim. It's very important.
I agree with that.
I wanted to mention, we just have to reflect how many things we had to swallow. I mean, if we're struggling with complex trauma, this means probably a lifetime of suppressing all the emotions, suppressing everything we had to endure. Everything is just stuffed into a box. And then you move into a moment where you can address it in therapy and you realize, okay, I want to have it solved quickly. I want to get out of that state as quickly as possible. But just seeing the immense amount that's stuffed inside, maybe it helps you to realize, okay, it's okay to allow myself time, but also trusting that in the end, you're going to find back to this harmonious, peaceful state inside that we were all born with, or that we all carry as a natural essence within ourselves.
Yeah, that's very true.
We are giving the impression that all these years of trauma are like nothing. They're a big deal.
They are a big deal. And I think like once you start, especially for if you have like complex trauma, that is a lifetime of doing therapy, but your life gets better. You know, it's not, you're not stuck in that deep whatever for forever. You're moving out of it at your own pace, and it does get better. It does get easier. I've been in the same spot where, you know, suicide was the only thing I could think of to do next, just to end the suffering. And I'm glad that I didn't, because suffering wasn't, it's not a eternal thing. You know, it was only for that chunk of time. And I'm glad now that I stuck it out and found the tools that I needed to help myself. And uh, I'm constantly, you know, working to improve myself so that I can be who I was designed to be. And it's a whole lot of unlearning, you know, bad patterns. And that's really, it's as simple as that. Sometimes it's just unlearning the bad pattern and choosing what you want to do and what you want to learn and what you want to know, and making the beliefs that you want is really where I'm at now. And I like that. I enjoy the process of discovering who I am.
Yeah, yeah. It's so precious. And you mentioned the tools you are using over time. Are those tools you mentioned beforehand, like the journaling?
Yeah, I do journaling. I make myself recordings. I have recordings from, other hypnotherapists, other sessions that I've had that I listen to. Because although my life has improved so much, I still have that funk every now and then where, a recording really does help to pick me up and to kind of remind me of that I am doing good. I am all the things that I need to know. It's that reminder that I need. And until I get into, the next session where I can deal with what I'm feeling. Journaling is a big one that I use. Meditation is a huge tool, and it's similar to hypnosis, self hypnosis. The recordings, a lot of times that automatic writing is so helpful. So I'll just write a question or something, and then just kind of connect, and the answers come. But I found the most helpful thing was just trusting that I'm going to be okay. And I know that it's not on my time, but I'm going to be okay, and I'm going to find the answers, and it's going to benefit.
Beautiful. And trusting in their own self.
Yeah, that was the biggest issue that I think I had was I just had zero trust in myself and my abilities and didn't trust anybody else. So just learning to trust myself and to know that I have the tools. They're somewhere in there, but I have them. And I also have the ability to learn any tool that I'm curious about. So when I do get the awareness like, okay, I'm just feeling unlovable. Okay, so now I need to go out and figure out how to learn how to be loved right and to love others right as well. So there's so many things that you can do to help yourself in between sessions, or even if you don't want sessions. There's so much um knowledge out there. You can literally learn to do anything.
Absolutely agree. There's such a huge amount of knowledge. And I do feel, I mean, every session you do feel lighter. That's at least how I felt. And even
Me
if
too.
there's some layer of sadness coming up, but it's nevertheless, you removed some kind of weight. It's like you're getting closer every step with like having sessions closer to the self and closer to this inner harmony and this place where you feel good. And right now, I mean, I feel when we are talking about having sessions, it's not like there's an urgency, but it's a wish where you realize, okay, I feel triggered by something,
Mhm.
and the trigger is something that's within me. There's something that wants to be seen within me. That's why I still have sessions, because I feel, okay, I want to do myself justice, and I want to do the story justice that I experienced, but I also want to be like a, a better human. I want to improve the way how I interact with my surrounding. So that's
That's
the,
the
yeah.
same for me as well. Once I kind of got out of my own way, I realized that I just want to go out and be the best human being I can be. And I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'm figuring it out, and I'm happy with myself in the meantime. I don't feel that pressure that I used to feel, or that urgency, that panic, that anxiety.
Yeah.
It's just not a part of me anymore. And I mean, I do feel anxious every now and then for certain things, but it never stays. It's not like it used to be. So now, like if I feel a little anxious, it's like, okay, I'm excited. And it usually I am excited to go try this new thing, or I'm just not sure what to expect, and that's okay. I have the tools now to reframe things. I'm not anxious. I'm actually really excited to go do this, and I'm just not sure what to expect, so it's going to be good no matter what. I'll figure it out, and it's fine. It's deciding to empower yourself. I could choose to be anxious and not go, or I can work through that anxiety and fear, and there's nothing that I can't overcome. So go out and try it. And
Absolutely. And it's a form of self-regulation. I mean, it's like when you're having therapy, it's you're not going to end up and have none of those feelings any longer. You're not going to end up and never be angry again, because those feelings, they have a good reason to be in your life. That's part of being human. But the old stuff, the old anger, the old anxiety, this can be removed from your system. This can be.
I agree with that. And also the way that I respond has completely changed. And I think that was really the trick. You know, I for some reason the trigger isn't it's not as triggering anymore. And like you said, you still feel angry, you still feel hurt, you still feel sadness, you still experience grief, you experience all these things, but the way that I respond to things now is completely different. Whereas before, you know, if I was angry, I would yell and make a lot of noise and cry. Well, now I figure out if I'm feeling hurt, afraid, or you know, I figure out what I'm actually feeling, and I just feel that, and I'm not taking everybody down with me in a tornado of destruction. You know, I'm a lot more calm and reasonable, I guess you could is a very good word for for that. You know, I just respond differently because I feel differently about it.
Yeah, it's about, I mean, it's about learning how to deal with your own emotions and being able to regulate them in those moments and not allowing them to sweep over and cause a massive tantrum or chaos.
Yeah,
That's the key. I mean, like I said, I do believe emotions are what make us human. And that's beautiful and precious. But in
yeah.
this society, I don't believe that we got taught very well how to deal with them.
No, I don't think we did. I know a lot of it was, you know, you were supposed to be a good kid that listened, that was going to grow up to be a good adult and productive member of society. And okay.
Yes.
So yeah, it I think the upbringing, as well intended as it was, it didn't have a lot of room for feelings and and
Yeah,
emotions.
definitely not. Because I mean, people just told me how to behave and how it would be right to behave, but they actually didn't behave that way themselves very often.
Exactly. Yes. That's my experience as well. What's that? Do as I say, not as I do. That was quite the
Definitely.
the expression.
Yeah. Yeah, and that causes a lot of confusion, and that causes a lot of aspects that are probably needing attention within.
Yes.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
so glad to have these kind of modalities. I'm super grateful because they more or less gave me my life back.
Yeah. Same
But
same
what
with
I
me.
learned, but what I learned is it's a journey, and it's okay to be a journey because it's a whole life story, and this whole life story deserves the attention and appreciation.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%. It does deserve all that. So, well, thanks for tuning in with us. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe and do all the things. And until next time, we'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.